are now tuned in to the best damn United Football League recap show that there is. This is United Football Media's Tell Me About It. We are the DAR Sports Media crew, and we are here on a Conference Championship Tuesday. Sorry for the late scheduling. By the time we were going to be able to get this ready to go and edit it on Sunday night, it was too late to be able to post it in the morning for you guys. It's a special Tuesday edition for the Conference Championship, leading into the championship game. It'll be the same next week. Whoever the champion is, we'll be doing some Tell Me About It on Tuesday morning. Also, interesting news about the future of Tell Me About It to talk about on that show as well. Interesting news to talk about the futures of these UFL squads. There are two left, the DC Defenders and the Michigan Panthers. Shout out to them too. We have been freed from the regime of terror that was the Stallions looking for a four-peat. You know, we earlier on in this season, maybe it was wishful thinking. We were saying it looks like maybe it's over for the Birmingham Stallions, and then they came back. That championship DNA showed through. The miracle story with Jamar Smith. Well, it came to an end, that story, because he did not have his best game on Sunday. Matt Corral came in, looked spicy at times, brought them back to within a score at times, but it ended up just not being enough. The possible prohibitive MVP, Bryce Perkins, with another brilliant game, 20 out of 25, 240 yards, a touchdown, added 35 yards, and a rushing touchdown on the ground. Tawatoa, 85 yards rushing, over 4 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns on the day. The Panthers controlled this game. Again, the Stallions, that championship DNA, they closed it down. Got it close a couple of times. Nothing to be ashamed of down there in Birmingham with this dynasty finally hitting a block in the road, finally hitting a speed bump. The guy Skip Holtz, most of all, 5 quarterbacks this year they went through. And the team at times looking like they were ready to roll over and die. Skip Holtz did not allow that to happen. They did not allow them to roll over and die throughout this whole entire game, too, because, again, they closed it to within 1 score, I think 3 times throughout the contest. Deon Cain going wild, doing everything he could to keep them in the game. It was not enough. Michigan Panthers, 44-29 on the way to the title game. And I would think, given what happened earlier on this season, given how they look with Bryce Perkins in the game, I would think that they would be the favorite going into the championship game next week in St. Louis. And you know what? Good for Detroit area football. Good, because the Lions, those people up there, what they've been through with the Lions, both the 20 years before this and even with the last few years, getting so close, the huge collapse in the NFC Championship game. Last year, getting bum rushed by on fire Commanders team. This will be real awesome. And all sports, the Detroit Pistons too, they've been a mess until very recently. They've been starting to get it together. So it'll be a great story. Detroit, Michigan Panthers coming around, possibly raising these trophies over their head, but they've got a rowdy team waiting for them on the other side. And we're going to get for that from the DMV, and we're going to get to that in a minute. 44-29, Michigan Panthers on their way. Tell me about it, Tay.
I'm sure the Panthers' game plan was just to score as many points as they could, and that's exactly what they did out there. They scored every quarter. They won every quarter, outside of the fourth. But yeah, just a story to what's been happening all season when Bryce Perkins is out there. They're like, I would say, they're like the best team. I mean, you can't stop them. You got to force turnovers, or you're going to be in for a long game. They'll score 30 easily, and they've been doing this all year, and Stallions just weren't ready. Stallions just didn't look as good as they have, and, when they played
the last
a team
few weeks,
ready
certainly,
for them. Yeah. And they weren't scared of them, That's exactly what happened. The Panthers were ready for everything that the Stallions had to offer, and they finally in the championship. We finally have someone different, completely different championship. So yeah, Panthers are red hot. I mean, even though I think they lost like 2 in a row to end the regular season, I would still say they're red hot. Like, Honestly,
Yeah,
just
because
with
both those
Bryce
games were
Ferguson,
close.
they're just
Both
another
those
team.
games were good fights, and they didn't have the prohibitive MVP in the game. So
Right.
with him added, with him in demigod mode, it's a big mountain to climb, as we saw.
Mm-hmm.
True. What'd you think, man?
I was surprised. I thought the Stallions' reign was going to continue on, but Bryce Perkins makes all the difference. So Bryce Perkins being out there, like you said, prohibitive MVP favorite. And in general, it's just been, the Panthers have just been finding ways to get it done outside of, like Tay said, those last two games. But I mean, those last two games of the season, do you really, you know what I'm saying? You really care? Like they already were set up to be in the champion, in the playoffs. So it's like those games don't matter. These are the games that matter. And to go in there against defending champions and show out like they did, I mean, that's just this testament to their will, testament to their drive and how they, how they put things together. I thought they played an exceptional game with Stallions. I mean, all good things come to an end. So, that's what that is. We'll see what Birmingham looks like and the Stallions look like when they come back next year. But I was a little surprised, but I was most so surprised at how dominant the Panthers looked versus I expected even if Birmingham won, I expected a close game. Even if Michigan won, I expected a close game. This was not that. And that to me, like you said, has them as the favorite heading into the championship game because that's such a dominant performance. And DC did their thing as well, but it's just like did not expect that. So kudos to the Panthers.
So, and I think one last note on Birmingham. I think they might be back for revenge next year because next year I don't think Bryce Perkins is walking through that door. Next year I don't think Shannon Harris, the head coach of the DC Defenders, is walking through that door. Next year I don't think Jordan Tiamu is walking through that door. So might be Luis Perez is probably retiring. So I think there's a good chance that it might be revenge season for the Stallions next year. Other than, of course, every single year, somehow, some way, the Battlehawks end up becoming stacked with every good player that's available going into the season. It's weird. Speaking of the stacked Battlehawks and their amazing home field advantage, didn't quite help them. Neither one of those things helped them much in the XFL Conference Championship game because the DC Defenders came in there and took the brakes off of that vehicle, whooped them 36-18. The team only had under 300 total yards rushing and passing. Jordan Tiamu, again, looking like an MVP, made one real big mistake that almost, let Battlehawks back in the game. But other than that, was phenomenal. Our guy we've talked about since the preseason over there on DC Defender Show, me and Tay, Deion Jackson, with a huge game, 20 carries, over 100 yards. The playmakers on defense, Derek Roberson, Momo Sanogo, especially Anthony Hines, Malik Fisher, all made huge plays on defense, put a hurting on this shiny team in front of what I felt was a disappointing playoff show out. The league's been working hard for this Battlehawks home playoff game for years. And we only got 27,000. Now you say only 27,000, right? That's still quite a bit more than pretty much every other team would have had turnout throughout the years. But for the Battlehawks to be under 30,000, many visible empty seats on screen during the game, during a playoff game, that was kind of shocking to me and had to be a letdown. It was a letdown in all ways on the St. Louis side of things. Speaking of potential coach of the year candidates, Shannon Harris, hell of a job this year. Took over the job 3 days before playing the defending 3-time straight champion Stallions, whipped them, took this team all the way to the championship game, lost his legendary defensive coordinator during the middle of the season. Hell of a job, bang up job by Shannon Harris. DC Defenders going on. It was a beatdown. What do you think there, Tay?
Defenders played an amazing game. You could see who really wanted it and who didn't. And the Battlehawks surely did not want it. And then they had to change quarterbacks. That's usually an issue, especially to go to the championship. That's never a good sign. Nothing worked for them. They've been running the ball pretty well all year. Quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, they've all been playing pretty good, but run game wasn't there from really anyone. They didn't get any stops. Battlehawks probably played their worst game. I mean, that's not what you want, especially in the championship game, So defenders, they came to play. They wanted it way more than the Battlehawks. They ran the game in every category, time of possession, rushing yards, anything. So defenders' defense has been sloppy in the regular season and looked like a completely different team. Looked like week one defenders. That's the best version of the defenders, and emphasis has been on defenders running the ball. They definitely came in and did that. That's what you can do when you're ahead. You're not playing from behind every week. You can do whatever you want. You can playbook's wide open, and when we can run the ball, it's going to be tough to beat. So,
True thoughts on this one. DMV going to the championship.
I don't like good things to happen for DC, but I guess I'm okay with this. The defenders have shown out this entire season. They made a fool out of me because I was kind of talking down on them a little bit based on what they did last year. So, pleasantly surprised to see them back in the championship game. Great performance against the Battlehawks. I don't know what was wrong with the Battlehawks. Did not expect that type of performance from them in such a high stakes game. But I guess in some way, this is just who they are, right? This is really just who they are. I mean, we saw it last year happen the same way. So they can get you to a certain point, but they can't get over the hump. And that's what it feels like for these Battlehawks, especially with the UFL. So great regular season team, and they fizzled out against a team that had a lot of momentum, and the defenders have been very engaged on defense. The offense, had their moments too. So, Jordan Tiamu is not a great quarterback, but he's getting the job done, and they're in the championship. So, I think it's a good performance from the defenders. I have my concerns about them against the Panthers, but it's anybody's game, man. It's just win one game. That's all you got to do is win one. So.
The battle. I mean, the thing is we said weeks ago on this show, it had been like the third week, I think, or second week of the Max Duggan experiment. And we said, hey, this whole throwing 8 passes thing, this is not going to get it done once you start playing some good teams. Because they had multiple crusty performances down the stretch against bad teams. And we said it on the show, this is not going to get the job done once it gets down to crunch time and you're playing some good teams. And we saw it this weekend. It did not get the job done. Max Duggan was in no way ready to stand up to this situation. And they got whooped. Hopefully, nobody gets whooped. Next week, we have ourselves a good championship game. Championship predictions and keys to the game, gentlemen. True already kind of touched on it. I'm going to talk about it more this week on the DC Defender Show. To me, DC is going to have to steal a possession or two. They're going to have to get an interception. They're going to have to get a fumble. They're going to have to make a play on special teams. Because this man, Bryce Perkins, is on another level. And he's going to get his. He's going to make some plays. He's going to put points up on the board. So DC is going to need to steal a possession, and they're going to need to be able to run the ball effectively and control this game. Because if they do not control it, it is going to get out of control. And Tiamu's going to have to show, right, our man Ace on United Football Media, he said, you know what, they should just put everything on the line in this game. Coach of the year, the championship, MVP, whoever wins, you just take home the Triple Crown. He's going to have to show who's the MVP. He's going to have to outduel this guy on next Sunday. Be interesting to see whether that can happen. Those are my keys. It's tough, man, but I gotta say the Panthers are the favorites, and I'll be happy for them if they win. Tay, tell me why you're gonna pick DC here.
I'm picking DC because I like what I saw last week. I like what I saw. I like the flip of the defense. Everything just came together. When playoff time I came around, and then we got to get revenge on them. Yeah, I'm saying I'm being biased this week. It's the last week. Absolutely. But yeah. I got to get the revenge back. They embarrassed the Defenders a couple weeks ago, and it's time. You can't go out like that. You can't go out like that. And Bryce Perkins is a phenomenal player. He's the best player in the league. MVP though, I think if he played all the games, he would get it. Yeah. But I feel like him not playing as many games as Te'amu kind of hurts his case in a way. But I would say I can agree. He's probably the best player in the league. But anyways, back to the game. Both underdogs won. That's pretty good. Both the away teams got the victories and stuff. I feel like, you could kind of see this coming though last week. This, Battlehawks and Stallions just didn't look too hot. But Defenders are gonna have to, they're gonna have to take something away. Like whether it is the ball, take away the run game, do something. Throw different looks at them. Different blitz designs, just different things. You can't just go out with a base defense, same look. Like, we're just gonna have to keep switching up, disguise, this, that, and the third. So I really think it goes on defense because when you play the Panthers, you're gonna have to score. Like that's automatic. You got to know that. Just going against the Panthers, they got the best offense. I mean, they're pretty hard to stop. But honestly, I could agree with that. You're gonna have to force a turnover. Maybe special teams can come into play here, block a punt, something like that. You need a big play. You need a big play that can swing the game. So
Chris Rowland house call. Another part of that too. Yeah. You're talking about different looks. Fred Keiss, hey brother, time to empty that bag. Time to get the kitchen sink out too. Let's get some wild trick plays. Yep. There ain't no tomorrow here. Exactly. There's no tomorrow, and we are gonna need it. They're gonna need some things to break our way. Through, we're split down the middle here. What do you got? I think I know.
I'm going Panthers.
Motown. Yep.
Look, as much as, like I said, it pains me to see anything happen for DC, and I'm just depressed on this show because I have no showboats to like make fun of, and it's like what is life? What is life if I can't watch the showboat's downfall? So I guess in some way the Defenders losing would be watching their downfall and watching somebody's downfall. And like I said, I think the Defenders are great. They will need the best defensive game they played all season. You're gonna need that against a team like this Panthers team, especially with Bryce Perkins. You're just gonna need it. Will they? I'm not too sure. And if Jordan Te'amu makes a mistake, I don't think this will be like the Battlehawks game where you can't capitalize on it. I believe the Panthers will absolutely capitalize on it. So going with the Panthers, I think the Defenders definitely have a chance. Obviously, I wouldn't write them off, but the Panthers seem like they're a team on a mission, and doing what they just did to Birmingham, that looks like a team on a mission. And Defenders are also on a mission, but it's just sometimes you just face a team that just wanted a little more than you. And I feel like with the way they're playing, especially how the way they played against Birmingham, the Panthers look like they wanted just a little bit more, like just a little bit. But I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think that's a 7 to 10 point game, something like that, and it'll be controlled chaos more so than anything. And when looking at who's going to make the first mistake, I would probably lean towards Te'amu and the Defenders before I would the Panthers. So that's why I'm going with the Panthers.
The Panthers feel like a team of destiny. This media group and this show and this page has been a page and team and show of destiny all year. Of course, I encourage you to check out the BAWD podcast with FBI Tugboat this week. It's going to be magnanimous. Him talking about this team getting the whole way and looking to be a team of destiny, perhaps. Of course, myself and Tay will be on DC Defender Show, running everything down. Keys to the game, keys to possible victory, having a little fun at the Battlehawks expense on that show over there. So please do tune into that as well. All the fine stuff we have here on the United Football Media. This has been Tell Me About It.